Hey golfers, in this next video I'll be showing you how to stop hanging back in golf swing. Keep watching. Hi, it's Troy from hittingitsolid.com here. Thanks for watching. So in this video I'm talking about how to stop hanging back in the golf swing, and this is a super common one that I see every day, but you can fix this no matter where you're at in your game at present. Now very quickly, if you're new here, don't forget to like this video, and if you want to play better golf, consider subscribing to the channel. And make sure you watch my free 3 secret moves video, link in the description. So what does it look like when we talk about hanging back in the golf swing? So I'm set up to one here from face on. Now this is with your irons and your driver. Driver, you get penalised less because the ball's on the tee, but still really important that you don't do it. Not quite as much, at least anyway. So here's our iron. As we go to the top of the backswing, hanging back is anything when you look like this at impact. The upper body, normally what happens is the lower body goes this way, upper body tilts back naturally. And yet in this awkward sort of hanging back position, which then involves a lot of your arms to make any sort of timing with the golf ball. So that's really, legs go forward, hips go forward, upper body just will naturally tilt back. So from this angle, so you might have looked at yourself on camera or had someone say you're hanging back, this is what you're doing. So if we go to the top, you'll be like this. Results in a lot of inconsistencies in your golf game. So why does the hanging back move happen to golfers? So if you're hanging back, quite often you'll be hitting a lot of the time fat shots and thin shots and top shots as well. And that's because when you get to this position here, it changes the bottom of your arc, where your low point is, and quite often you'll hit down before the golf ball, or you'll hit it on the up with your irons at least, and quite often top the golf ball. So a couple of reasons why this might be happening to you is ball position. Quite simply, and I've got an iron here, 9 iron, but if you've got that ball too far back, quite often the tendency will be to lean back like this to try and scoop and lift it into the air. Now with your irons, you don't want to be doing any sort of lifting motion. They're hit with a descending blow, so getting the ball position will help you get the bottom of that swing arc in a better position. So I'd like to see you have the ball, depending on what iron you're hitting, somewhere more to the center of your stance or even just forward of center. And that will help promote getting the ball more on the downswing rather than encouraging you to hang back in this position to lift the ball into the air. Now another common reason why you might be hanging back would be sliding, and this will be in the backswing and more commonly in the downswing. So if my hips are nice and centered here, this would be sliding too far this way and too far this way. Now I'm talking about the hips. When the hips slide too far this way, upper body will just tilt back naturally. Again, I'm in this hanging back position here, and I'm most likely to hit a inconsistent golf shot. So here's some more things that it might do to your game. The other thing that might be causing you to keep hanging back is lack of rotation. So I talked about sliding before. If you're going to the top like this and you're just pushing this way, you're not rotating your hips and your shoulders, it's quite likely when you come down here, the only way to hit the ball is to really sort of hang back and lift it into the air. So what I need you to do is really make sure those hips and the shoulders open up and rotate, allowing that club to get down to the golf ball. And that plays a big part in stopping hanging back. So from this angle, need you rotating. Much better chance of hitting it solid. Now the other thing would be coming out of posture in your downswing or early extension. So if you're hanging back, this is very, very common. You're lifting up like this, you're standing up, getting your weight onto your toes too early. Gives you a very steep shaft coming in impact, and quite often you'll just lean back like this to try and scoop or lift the ball into the air rather than rotating, staying down, shallowing the club, and staying more on top of the golf ball. This is what we want to be aiming for. This is what I'd love to see you do, and you can absolutely do this. When you come down, really feel like as you're putting pressure into that lead side, you're staying more on top of the ball. You can see my upper body is much more on top of the ball. I'm not hanging back in this awkward position. I'm on top of it. You probably heard the phrase covering the ball. That's what they're talking about. Now the other reason, the final one, why you might be hanging back is an open club face. So if you're someone that slices the ball, check what your face is doing in your takeaway and your backswing, because quite often this is the root cause of why the hanging back starts. Golfers will have an open face like this, be open at the top, and subconsciously their brain knows on the way down they need to give themselves room to square that club face. They'll hang back, which gives you a bit more time to flip the wrists over and square up the club face. But if you can get a square club face, so make sure you check your grip, all those important things. You get a square club face right from the start, be less of a subconscious need to really hang back and flip that club to square the club face. All right, so here's some more keys you must know. This part of the video is really important. If you want to stay more centered over the ball and stop hanging back, you need to make sure your lower and your upper body in the downswing move together. We don't want to be moving just the hips, which will naturally push that upper body back, which I spoke about earlier. I'd like to see you, when you get to the top, assuming you've made a good backswing at a square club face, as you get down lower, put pressure into that lead side, I want you to move the lower and the upper at the same time. And then we can come down to the golf ball. And that will help you remain a lot more centered, a lot more on top of the golf ball, and catch it a lot more consistently solid with your irons and your driver. Now here's some really important drills you can practice to really nail this move. Here's the first drill that I really love and is a great one to do even on the tee block prior to your turn or just practicing in your backyard. You don't need to be hitting a ball for this, although you can absolutely use it as a point to move across. Set up to one here. Now all I want you to do, get in your setup position here. We're just going to be pushing the club along the ground. What that's doing is, it's visualizing an impact and through impact position. And you'll notice when I do that, there's absolutely no reason to hang back. If you can just get yourself practicing this feel, you'll stay a lot more on top of the golf ball and become a lot more consistent. Here's another great drill. Okay, with this drill I want you to set up to a ball. You can do this at the driving range hitting short shots. It's a great way to start. But you can also absolutely practice this at home, just hitting some plastic balls in the backyard. Gets the feeling ingrained into your swing. So what I want you to do is set up behind the golf ball with your club head about 4 inches behind the ball. And what you're going to do is when you make swings is try and hit the ball solid. What this does, forces you to shift your weight better, move your upper and your lower body together, and really get on top of the golf ball. If I was to set up like this, do any sort of lean back like this or hanging back motion, I'm going to top it or knife it and just struggle to hit the ball at all. But if you can get in this sort of position here and manage to hit solid shots, it is a fantastic drill for improving your iron timing. Here's a video of me hitting one here, demonstrating how it's done. And this is one of my favorite drills. I practice this all the time and help you become a lot more consistent with your iron shots. This is the drill that I think was made famous by Gary Player, and it's got different names, but the most recent one I've found is called the walk-through drill. And basically, You can hit shots doing this or just practice doing this without a ball altogether. And as the name suggests, as we're setting up here, as we swing through, I just want you to take a step. This is so good for getting that weight transferred, getting that upper body and lower body to work together and stop you from hanging back in the golf swing. So if you just practice doing swings like this, just taking that step, you can see there's absolutely no chance you're going to do any sort of this motion here, because the very first step after striking contact, I need you to take a step. Really powerful drill. I'll just show you one from here. Do this with your driver and definitely practice it at the range. It's a great way to get that feel of staying more on top of the ball, and you will definitely stop hanging back. This last drill is another great one that helps you stay more on top of it and you'll stop hanging back. Now hopefully you can see this here. I've got 2 tees in the ground here. I've got them roughly about 4 inches apart. You can play around with the distances, see what feels right to you. The idea is, when I make a swing, I want you to be able to come down to impact and hit both of those tees. And by doing that, you can imagine if I was hanging back, I would find that a lot more challenging to hit both those tees. So very slowly, we can go up, striking through, hitting both those tees. Practice that at home, take it to the range. I've seen golfers practice doing this, actually putting a ball forward, a ball here, and then putting that tee about 4 inches in front of it. That works tremendously well and can help you strike it much more consistent. That will help you stay more on top of it and really compress down on that golf ball. Now, important, I've got coming up a video that talks about how to stop sliding in the golf swing. Now, this ties right in with what we've spoken about here. Make sure you watch this video. I'll see you on it. Do you want to know how to play even better golf? Click and watch the video on your screen now. It's going to go into more detail on how to stop sliding in the golf swing, which ties right in with this video to help you make a great golf swing. Do you want to know how to play even better golf? Consider subscribing to the channel. And remember, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.